Yo, what's going on? It's your old pal, Jason V here from the Jasons. And today, January 31st, is the day that the Huntingtons released their new record, Conchinitas del El Rock and Rollio. We're going to have a little discussion slash review about the record and how good or shitty it is. Spoiler alert, if it was shitty, I wouldn't be talking about it. I'd just pretend it was alright and not mention it to the band ever again because, well, you know, hashtag Cliffy time. Going into this thing, I think it's important that you understand my mindset as a fan of this band and where I'm coming from and what my hopes were for this album when I first started listening to it. The last time that I can say I was really fucking high on this band, the Huntingtons, was right around 2001, 2002. As I mentioned before, that's when Songs in the Key of You came out, and I was at the height of my Huntingtons fandom. I was fucking pumped, man. I was on the unofficial street team. I was the unofficial street team leader, and I was fucking going around town putting up flyers and all this shit, man. They had fucking primed me to be the biggest Huntington fan by releasing two pretty much perfect records, Get Lost and Plastic Surgery. It was the most Ramones core shit you could find at the time. When it comes to Ramones core at that time, Huntingtons was above Screeching Weasel. Huntingtons was above the Queers. They were the most Ramones of the Ramones core bands. And of course, young and impressionable Jason V fucking strutting around in my Huntingtons jacket. Yeah, motherfucker. Boom, Huntingtons. Fucking tight jeans, wear the chucks, put on the leather jacket, fucking walk around and stand next to brick walls with my hands in my pockets and eating fucking the fucking chicken vindaloo on the street corner and not wanting to do things and not wanting to walk around with people, all because of the fucking Huntingtons. And then Songs in the Key of You drops. Not that it wasn't a good record, but it wasn't the record that Jason V wanted at the time, man. Where's the leather jackets? Not a leather jacket on that entire record. Everything seemed a little bit less angry and a little bit less aggressive. I wasn't having that at that time, man. But two things happened that dropped my fandom down real fucking hard. And honestly, one of them wasn't even the fucking Huntington's fault. I only wanted to listen to Ramones core shit. That was all I cared about. Didn't want power pop, didn't want nothing else. And so that admittedly knocked that other record down quite a bit without even really going in and listening to it. I was so fucking closed-minded. Unlike now, I didn't want to hear nothing. I've gone back and listened to that record and I like that record and there's some true gems on there, man. But for me at the time, 17 fucking years ago, didn't fucking want it. So that was number one. Now number two, the second thing that really knocked that album down and killed my fandom for this band a little bit was not even the Huntingtons' fault. It was the fucking Deadline's fault. Anybody remember them? Nah. Well, let me tell you about the Deadlines, man. I was a big fucking Deadlines fan at that time, too. They were another tooth and nail band. Oh, yeah, that's right. They were another Christian band. And we'll get to that fucking shit later. Because, man, let me tell you something. If you're going to go ahead and label the fucking Huntingtons as a Christian band, then you might as well go ahead and label C.J. Ramone as a Christian band. Because two of the Huntingtons played in C.J. Ramone's band. They just sang about C.J. Ramone shit. But you're going to fucking label them a Christian band? No. How many times did the Huntingtons write Jesus Saves, Jesus Loves in their songs? Not once. But every fucking asshole out there that wanted to shit on something just because they wanted to be part of the fucking Cool Kids Ramones Club would come out and say, oh, that's that Christian band. No, motherfucker. I don't get it. Fucking pop punk message boards jack off. I don't like the Huntingtons. They're that tooth and nail band. I'll never fucking get it. Somehow that makes their music invalid. You're a fucking dickhead. They're not that fucking tooth and nail band. Plain and simple. And that's not just me saying it. That's Jesus saying it too. I mean, I think that's what he would say if he were here today. Anyways, the thing that really fucked the Huntingtons over in Jason V's eyes wasn't even their fault, man. It was the Deadline's fault. Because, see, right around that time, the fucking Huntingtons were releasing their record and the Deadlines were releasing their record. Now, the Deadlines were like a weird fucking goth wave horror punk band. eyeliner, black clothes, standing in the cemetery, hands in my pockets, swoopy hair, makeup, looking all fucking badass. One dude's called the Creature, one dude looks like a nerd, but he had a cool name, Geriatric. They looked cool, they sounded cool, vampires in love, everything was awesome, and then they dropped their second record. And I was on their street team too, not their imaginary one like the Huntingtons, but their fucking actual street team. So I had this whole stack of flyers that they had sent me, and I was gonna go post those up too, right? But then their new fucking record comes out, man, and it's called Fashion Over Function. My God, what the fuck happened, man? These guys went from being super cool looking fucking horror punk, standing in the cemetery, drink your blood, vampire shit, to some band that was wearing tight pants, nothing wrong with that, fur coats, doing their makeup, talking about being jet setters, talking about going shopping in Tokyo and fashion and I want a stalker. Man, that broke my fucking heart, man. That knocked me from the top of the mountain into the fucking valley so fucking hard. So I already had this fucking paranoia, man, building up in my mind. Fucking Deadlines turned into a goddamn glam band. I sure hope the fucking Huntingtons don't do the same thing. And this is where the Huntingtons got fucked over by the Deadlines. Because I saw that back fucking cover, no leather jackets. And in a weird way, my brain was already warped by what the Deadlines did. So I blamed the Huntingtons for selling out as bad as the Deadlines did. Man, that ain't even true, because they still sounded like the Huntingtons. Mikey wasn't wearing a fur coat, but at the time, I felt like it was just some sort of deal where both bands got together and said, yo, let's stop being fucking cool. Let's drop our edge. Let's drop our image. And let's fuck Jason V over. And I took that shit personal. I really judged Songs in the Key of You way too fucking harshly at that time. But the point in all that is, man, what Jason V wanted when that record came out, I wanted the follow-up to Plastic Surgery and Get Lost. I wanted the evolution. I wanted the next step. I got that with Songs in the Key of You, but it wasn't the direction I wanted. So on this record, let's find out if it goes the way I hoped, or do the Deadlines somehow come back from the grave and fuck me over by fucking the Huntingtons over one more time? So we're just gonna go track for track with this record, and the first song out of the gate is called Too Old to Care. And to me, that's almost the mission statement about the intent of this record, in that I think when the Huntingtons set out to make this record, they didn't go around and check on all the fucking new bands and what's going on in Ramones Core and what the scene's like. They weren't really interested in that. It seems more to me like they said, yo, it's been this many years since we made a record. Let's get in a room together and see where we're at now. We're not trying to recapture the past. We're not trying to fucking play into any of the trends. What we want to do is make a Huntingtons record that's an evolution of what we used to do. And so the first song on this record, Too Old to Care, kind of communicates that. And what you find as you go forward in this record is definitely a more mature take on the Ramones core genre, a more mature take on punk rock in general. And it has a lot more of an 80s Ramones vibe than it does the classic, first 3 or 4 records. And that's good for me because a lot of bands do that. And for me, I've been listening to the fucking Ramones so long that when a band does something that's like 80s inspired, it's really a refreshing thing. And so a lot of the songs on here lean towards that. And in the 80s, things were a little bit more tough for the Ramones. Things had more of an edge to them. And that's what you see in these vocals. Maybe not so much on this first song, but as you go through, you'll realize that Mikey's vocals have evolved a great deal. And it's almost like a hybrid between what he used to do back when he was really channeling Joey Ramone and what he did sort of near the end of the Huntingtons' career as a band, when his vocals seemed very clean and sort of almost that next level of singing ability. So now you've got the best of both worlds without imitating Joey Ramone and without trying to sound overly clean. This is the best Huntingtons vocal performance that you're going to get on any record, in my fucking humble opinion. Second song on the record is called I Am the Liquor, and this starts the ascent, for me, into 5 songs that are absolutely perfect. And I mean, it's just that perfect section of the record where things start to go up into the fucking stratosphere. The best chunk of the record goes from song 2, and then it kind of elevates near the middle of the record. Not to say that anything else is bad on this record, but there's just this perfect chunk where the flow and the songs engaged in that chunk are like exactly what I was hoping for. It's not like they've gone back and tried to recapture the sort of cutesy pie, heart-sick pop punk days of the past. We don't need that, man. These dudes obviously aren't about that at this point in their lives. So what you get instead is a little bit of a fucking scruffy bearded, hard-lived, seen some shit, done some shit, learned some lessons take on a lot of things. So I Am the Liquor is basically a good example of that. And a lot of that shit reminds me of stuff like Somebody Put Something in My Drink and I'm Not Jesus, and a lot of those just kind of harder Ramones songs from the 80s. The third song on the record is called The Slammer, and that is my choice for best Huntington song on this entire record. And it was pretty close. But for me, The Slammer is exactly the encapsulation of what I wanted when I heard Songs in the Key of You and I still had that big old hard boner for Get Lost. This is like Get Lost evolved. And again, there's this weird thematic edge. It goes I Am the Liquor, The Slammer, and Innocent. And those 3 songs feel to me like it's telling a story. Now maybe they just kind of worked out like that, but my guess was when they were determining how they were going to sequence the record that they did that on purpose. But The Slammer is just fucking cool. It's fucking tough. It's probably one of the most fun songs to play live because it's just kind of that tempo where you just fucking riding it. Everything feels tough. Everything feels confrontational. Best Mikey Huntington vocal performance by fucking far on that song. Also in the middle of the song it breaks into the fucking Trooper from Iron Maiden. Just super clever, super cool. And this is the sound that I had always hoped for when it came to me wishing that there would be another Huntingtons record that was a follow-up. This is the fucking sound. And I would almost say probably the toughest song that the band has ever done. So for me, best song on the record, my favorite. Hopefully they continue going in that direction for the next record. It's very rock and roll. It's very tough, but it still has that fucking Huntington sound. It's just a little bit meaner, a little bit gruffer. The lyrics are clever. It's fucking fun. And I think it's going to go down as one of those like favorite Huntington songs from this era of the band. The next song on the record is called Innocent, and this is the song that really brings us into that 1980s Ramones vibe I was talking about. It totally confirms my suspicions that that was kind of where the record was going when I first heard it anyways, but I've since heard it confirmed by the band that that was something that they were sort of shooting for, was those 80s Ramones, and even later Ramones than that, you know? You get that fucking tough sound. It's almost like a more mid-tempo, starty-stoppy, very tough, and there's a lot of cool vocal shit that goes on too. Like the second verse, as it starts in, you get other members of the band sort of singing portions of that second verse, you know, in a different octave, but you can hear that it's not some processed thing. It sounds like they're there together singing it, and that was pretty fucking cool for me. Very tough. Totally could have been a song off of something like fucking Adios Amigos or Halfway to Sanity or one of those records. And that for me is a very good place for this band to fucking live, because the vocal performance on that, again, it's perfect for that. It's that tough sound, it's that mature and involved sound, and it still feels Ramones. But there are a lot of people out there that would probably write that off and say, oh, it's not, you know, fast enough, it's got too many fucking, you know, riffy things in it. But that is Ramones. It's just not the fucking first 3 records that everybody jacks off to. So again, as the record goes, it's just climbing and climbing and climbing. I fucking love the way it's evolved for those first 3 songs and then going into the next song. The next track on the record is called Dead Wrong, and it's a good song. it's a very short song. And what it really functions as for me is almost a little like slap in the face, palate cleanser before we go into the song after that. And you need that there because the way these first few songs were crafted is very cleverly, man. It takes you from the fucking, you know, up into the stratosphere. You're going, you're getting tougher and tougher. Then when Dead Wrong comes on, it's, I would say, not necessarily what I would call a highlight track on the album, but it needs to be exactly where it is. It's a quick burst, but it fucking cleanses your palate from all that toughness because after that, you're going to Penny's Boat. Probably the most fucking powerful song on the record. Would I say it's my number one? No, and here's why. Because I don't like to fucking cry. See, Penny's Boat is this song that has the most emotion. It has the most sort of intense vibe. It's very, very heavy in a different way. It's not heavy as in like fucking riff heavy. It's emotionally heart heavy. From those very beginning riffs, those leads that just feel like somebody's fucking heart bleeding out, and it grabs you in here and it fucking rips your heart out and it shows it to you and it says,
"You fucking take a look at your heart, man. Look at it. Look what's going on in there."
And the fucking vocal performance, everything that goes into that song, Penny's Boat, which is written based on a fucking episode of Lost. This song is not about Lost. This song is not about a fucking TV show. This song has a lot more emotional weight, and you can fucking feel it. And they fucking bring you right along. They hold off on that fucking chorus that's so powerful for the first verse. They skip it. And when you finally get there, it's that fucking big release that you needed. I think this is definitely one of the best fucking Huntington songs ever. Now, why is it not my favorite? Again, because I'm a fucking tough guy and tough guys don't cry. But let me tell you something, man. This song is the poison heart of the Huntingtons. It's got that much emotion, it's got that much power, and it's fucking rules, man. Awesome song. And it closes out for me the perfect sort of encapsulation of a record just flowing in a perfect way. All those songs flowing together just how they should. Thank God for the Bomb comes next, and it's a fucking solid track. You needed something bringing you out of not Penny's Boat that was going to take you right back into the fucking power and the speed, and this song does it fucking perfectly. It's got a good Mikey Huntington vocal performance, and I feel like it's one of those songs that's probably going to fit right in live. It's got the speed, it's got the fucking downpicking, it's got everything you want from a Huntington song, and most importantly, it doesn't leave you back there with not Penny's Boat, crying your fucking eyes out, feeling the fucking knife in your chest. It says, no, come on, man, you're wounded, but we gotta keep going forward, because we got more fucking records to listen to. Things Are Gonna Get Better comes in next. And this is a very much needed in terms of flow for the record. Because you've spent almost, you had your mission statement first track, and then a big chunk of fucking tough guy, a fucking heart-wrenching song, back into tough guy, and right about this time in the record, we need a shift. And I feel like if you're splitting the record into two sides, that's probably right around where you want to split it, man, because Things Are Gonna Get Better has this sort of very hopeful, very classic kind of Huntington sound, man. Like, I feel like this is the Mikey Huntington as Joey Ramone. Like, I always feel like there's a parallel between how they write at their purest, like, essence. And to me, without really knowing the dude, just having been a listener for the longest time, I feel like this is one of the most Mikey Huntington songs in terms of lyrical content and how they write things and just the message in general. It's something that kind of feels more like an old school Huntington song, updated for today, but it's got that same kind of vibe to it. And so it gives the record a little break from all the fucking tough guy shit, because there was a lot of that fucking tough guy shit. You know, nobody's coming for help in Penny's in not Penny's boat. And then you fucking go and thank God for the bomb. You needed this. You needed this break. And it almost feels like, also to me, if you're comparing it to the Ramones, which everybody's going to do that with this kind of music anyways, if I were going to choose a record where it would be, it's got like a fucking Joey solo record vibe. You Don't Have to Go is more in the line of that mature fucking pop punk sound. You don't want to be the age that the Huntingtons are, sitting around singing about, I see that girl from across the room and she makes my little heart go pitter patter, pitter patter. Man, that's totally played out for that fucking, at that fucking point. So what you've got is you've still got a song about relationships, but it has more to do with fucking the end of a relationships, or keeping things together when the times get tough and all of that stuff. And it also has a major fucking Ramones vibe. You know what I mean? You don't always need that like sheepish lover boy shit, man. It's way past that at this point. So allowing a band like this to continue going on and writing about relationships, because they did a good bit of that. But again, it's the evolution of that. It's the 17 years later kind of version of that. So this song is just, again, you know, it's Huntington's content, but evolved. Huntington's content matured, whatever you want to call it. It's a good way to fucking keep the feel of the band alive without having dudes singing about high school romance when they're not in fucking high school anymore. So Say Hi to Your Mom For Me is the third and final part of some Back to the Future trilogy that they've been shooting for. I don't know if this was a thing that they were always trying to do, if it was like, maybe this was the reason the band had to get back together, because they were fucking, Mikey couldn't sleep at night because he didn't have his fucking Back to the Future trilogy locked in. I don't know. I really wasn't even aware that there was plans for a trilogy, but anyways, it goes from the 1985 song that was on High School Rock, then Songs in the Key of You had Enchantment Under the Sea, and then this song, Say Hi to Your Mom For Me, closes it all out. To me, 1985's over here, fucking Say Hi to Your Mom For Me's over here. They're nice bookends, and they hold together that pristine and beautiful thing that is fucking Enchantment Under the Sea. My favorite of the three, but I guess what they were trying to do is bookend it. It's like some George Lucas shit. They rhyme, they go back and forth. It's a good song. I don't like Back to the Future. There's no tits, there's no blood, but it's a good song, and I'm glad they got to complete their trilogy, and so there you go. So that brings us to this song called Bottom of the Bottle, and this is a point where the record shifts again, and they throw you a pretty big curveball if you were listening and just expecting the traditional Huntington shit. Although probably by this point, you've realized that you're getting a lot more fucking Dead Boysy kind of shit, a lot more rock and roll shit. But this song in particular is a major outlier from the rest of the record, and obviously influenced by one band. And you listen to this song for like 3 seconds, and it's obvious what band they were listening to that influenced this song. Can you guess? I'll give you one hint. The band is Classic, not from the United States, and their name starts with the letter A. You guessed it, Annihilator. This band was clearly influenced by Annihilator on writing this track, Bottom of the Bottle. It's a tough song. It's got a fucking rock and roll swagger to it. It's got a strut to it. And I, for one, appreciate it when you get here and you still have something left to discover. You know, because we like I said, we already fucking went to Space Mountain at the first half of this record. And so I feel like they said what they needed to say there, and the rest of the songs on the record also have this path. You go back into a little classic Huntingtons, and then they're going to bring in some really unexpected stuff. And bands do this a lot. kind of put it near the end of the album so they can sort of, it's like an easy start tip on a penis. So it goes in pretty easy, and then the big shafty part gets you near the end. So if there's like a big veiny shafty part on this record, it's bottom of the bottle. And I, for one, didn't mind being penetrated by the bottom of a bottle, the song, on this record. So the next song on the record is called Be With You. And for just a second, man, it's interesting. We got that, hard fucking gritty, bottom of the bottle. I've been there, I've seen things. And I'm looking at Mikey Huntington in his face, and he's singing that, I've been fucking tough. I fucking drank a lot, and I've fucking had some fucking troubles, and I'm sulking. And then all of a sudden, like the reverse portrait of Dorian Gray and shit, he fucking, his hair grew back into a bowl cut, and his jeans got bigger, and he became that boyish Mikey Huntington that I remember from the fucking back cover of High School Rock. And he's now singing one of what feels like the closest to the old school Huntington shit that you get on this. And when I say the old school Huntington shit, I don't even mean Get Lost. I mean like prior to that. I'm talking like your High School Rock stuff with the fucking I want to be the one, I want to be the one and shit. That's some of the most Huntingtoning their Huntingtonness that I've seen on any record that they've done, man. Like, if there is a vibe that the Huntingtons have that I could like put into the song, if someone said, tell me what older Huntingtons was like. I've heard this new record, but what did they used to sound like? Can you encapsulate that for me? I would tell them to listen to this song, because it really is just, it's got the feel of a Huntington song from back in the day. The next song is called Liar, and probably if you were really wanting some of the old, like, complete and total Ramones worship, if you want something that would have maybe been on fucking Road to Ruin, that's where you're gonna get it with this track Liar. It could have opened the album. Like, I feel like if this had been a different record, the song Liar would have opened this record. Now, given the direction that the Huntingtons went with this record, Liar doesn't make sense opening it, because it doesn't set you up for what you're going to get. But maybe this had been recorded, right after Get Lost. This could have opened the record. It's, to me, just sort of another little taste of like, yeah, here's a little bit of our old style, but this is not where this entire record goes. So I think that's why it's near the end of the track, because thematically, you get a little bit more of the throwbacks to old school Huntingtons here at the end of the record, but not at the very last track. Because the very last track on this record is called I Don't Want to Die Alone. And they end the record with the most sort of Ramones 1980s, latter day Ramones. When I say 1980s, I mean latter day Ramones, 1980s and beyond. That's what this final track on the record is. And it closes it out on sort of a somber note. If they had wanted to end this record on a different note, they could have swapped this and things are going to get better. But to me, the band is almost indicating by ending with this record a determination and sort of an intent to keep going on. You know what I mean? It feels like when you end a record on something that has this sort of tough vibe, this determined vibe, it's basically saying, we're not fucking done yet. Don't fucking worry, we're going to be back, and we're not going to lose the fucking edge that we've achieved on this record. Because this is probably the most edgy and the most fucking heavy feeling record that this band has ever done. And for me, as I said earlier, or maybe I didn't say it earlier, this is the record that I wanted when I purchased Songs in the Key of You. Back in the day, had I wanted a record to follow up Get Lost, it would have been this one. Now that my mind has opened and I've gone back and enjoyed Songs in the Key of You, now that I've gone back and enjoyed some of the later Huntington stuff, how does this record feel to me now? It feels tough, it feels mature, and it feels like something that will hold the test of time a lot more so than some of the band's sort of earlier works. And a lot of pop punk bands face that same thing. where, you know, you think about, you write it when you're 20 years old and you're singing about, you know, he stole my rock and roll girl. And that's shit's way cool, man. I fucking cried my eyes out fucking singing that song in the audience. No joke. But singing that stuff forever, it changes. It's like Kiss singing Christine 16. It's kind of like, you know, it's one of our hit songs. But shit on this record feels to me like it applies to everybody a little bit more widely. You know what I mean? I don't think the nostalgia factor for something like this is going to be as high as the nostalgia factor for something, obviously, that they made before. But let's say they made a song like that today. They're not just playing on, like, hey, let's teleport ourselves back to a time when we were all fucking little giggly ass teenagers. No. They're writing music about an adult's life. And let's face it, man, there aren't any fucking teenagers in this fucking pop punk scene anymore. It's a bunch of fucking old dudes like me, old dudes like you, old dudes like them, and we don't need people singing about fucking holding hands on the goddamn bus anymore. We've had enough of that. What we need is a fucking mature and fucking, you know, forward looking kind of, can this last? Can this be a long term thing? Looking at our lives, being tough, fucking all that shit. That's what you get in this record, and I'm real fucking happy with it, man. And I feel like this is something that is going to stay with me. I'm not just going to listen to it once and then fucking throw it away. I will always go back and revisit those classic Huntingtons records. I revisit High School Rock. I revisit Get Lost. I revisit Plastic Surgery. But quite honestly, I don't listen to that shit all day, every day, because I listened to it so much back when I was 100% crazy about this band and I was doing my own little fucking street team. I listened to it so much then that it lives in my DNA. And I almost don't need to go back and listen to it. So the fact that I have something new, the fact that I have something that sounds like I can identify with it today and actually sounds very authentic. And that's the thing. When you have something like that, it's more than just hearkening back to a different time in this band. It's authentic to what they are doing today, where they're at today, and it feels very real. So I'm glad that this record exists because I can start actively listening to the Huntingtons again instead of sort of having them be my favorite band that used to be around. Because I'm not one of those guys that likes a band to run around and just play old shit over and over. And I'm a huge Kiss fan. Everyone in my band is a huge fucking Kiss fan. But the one issue we have is we hope and pray for the day when Kiss makes a new record. Because if you're not making new records, then to some degree, you're sort of giving up. And you're sort of ending things. And you're just resting on your laurels. And nothing sucks more than a band coming back and just kind of trying to recapture the old days and it falls flat. This is not a record that's doing that. This is a record that's looking forward. It's a record that represents where these people in this band are right now and where they're going in the future. Because this is somebody doing something in our genre that doesn't just harken back to our stupid ass fucking high school times when we all had bowl cuts and we all looked like a bunch of fucking dorks and we all thought we knew everything about everything. It's a good record, it's a mature record, and it gets the Jason V seal of approval.